And we begin with breaking news. A powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hit Japan's southern coast earlier, triggering a tsunami advisory.
As I stand here speaking to you, we are experiencing an earthquake that is on.
What has emerged is a disaster so terrifying that it sends chills down our spines. This is not a legend or a myth. It's a horrifying reality that has the entire world on edge. News spreads like wildfire, and fear grips our hearts. What exactly is this disaster? What does it mean for us, and how can we face it? The Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Pacific Northwest is perched right over the Cascadia Subduction Zone, a massive fault line that stretches more than 600 miles from Northern California all the way up to British Columbia. Here, the Juan Fuca and North American tectonic plates are constantly pushing against each other, creating a lot of geological tension. This isn't a region that experiences frequent earthquakes. Rather, it's a high-risk area where lock plates build up pressure over centuries, setting the stage for a potentially devastating quake. Experts are sounding the alarm that this fault line could produce a magnitude 9 earthquake, 45 times more powerful than the infamous 1906 quake in California. This looming event, often referred to as the Big One, has a 37% chance of happening within the next 50 years, and there's a 10 to 15% chance it could reach the full magnitude of 9. The seismic risk in this region raises urgent questions about how prepared we really are for a catastrophe that could affect hundreds of miles and millions of people. Cities like Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver could face catastrophic impacts, as their infrastructure wasn't built to handle such powerful forces. Many buildings, especially those constructed before modern seismic codes, might not survive the quake's intensity. Critical infrastructure, bridges, and roadways would likely suffer severe damage, making it hard for emergency services and essential supplies to reach those in need. The Pacific Northwest's relatively low levels of retrofitting, compared to earthquake-prone California, only heighten the risk of widespread devastation. And the earthquake itself isn't the only concern. Offshore tectonic activity could also trigger a massive tsunami. Waves generated by this quake could hit the coastline within minutes, overwhelming areas in Washington and Oregon. People in low-lying regions might have just 15 to 20 minutes to get to higher ground, which is no small feat given the limited evacuation routes and tricky geography. Despite the serious threat, much of the region's infrastructure remains unprepared. Limited funding and competing priorities have hampered efforts to reinforce buildings, schools, and hospitals, leaving critical gaps in our readiness. While some improvements have been made, a comprehensive upgrade of essential systems is still far from complete. Emergency services would face the monumental challenge of trying to support millions of people across multiple states in a situation where roads, utilities, and communication channels could all be down. For those living in the Pacific Northwest, being ready is vital. Creating a family emergency plan is a proactive step. This includes identifying safe spots to shelter during an earthquake and planning routes to higher ground. It's also crucial to equip your home with an emergency kit filled with water, food, flashlights, batteries, first aid supplies, and any necessary medications. Additionally, securing furniture and heavy objects can help prevent injuries during the shaking. Community support plays a key role in disaster preparedness too. Neighborhoods can come together to make sure that vulnerable residents, like older people, get the help they need. Plus, learning basic first aid and emergency skills can empower more people to handle urgent situations safely. Staying informed is another critical part of the equation. Resources from emergency management agencies and early warning systems like Shake Alert provide valuable insights and real-time alerts. While early warnings might only give you a few seconds or minutes, that brief window could make all the difference in taking protective actions. Advances in monitoring technology are continually improving detection and warning systems, even though predicting the exact timing of an earthquake remains out of reach. The Cascadia Subduction Zone poses a significant threat, highlighting the unpredictable nature of natural forces. Although we can't forecast the exact moment a quake will strike, understanding the potential scale of its impact emphasizes just how important it is to be prepared. Preparedness by individuals, communities, and governments can turn what could be a major crisis into a more manageable disaster, helping to limit damage and strengthen resilience in the face of the unimaginable. Are we truly ready for a wall of water that could erase entire cities along the coast? Have we learned enough from past catastrophes? Or are we ignoring the lessons that could save us from devastation? As the Cascadia Subduction Zone threatens with a colossal tsunami, we must ask ourselves, are we prepared or simply waiting for history to repeat itself? Tsunami risk and lessons from Japan's Tohoku quake. Subduction zone earthquakes, especially large ones, can cause significant shifts in the ocean floor that lead to tsunamis, which pose serious threats to coastal regions. A prime example is Japan's 2011 Tohoku earthquake, a staggering magnitude 9 event that serves as a crucial case study in understanding the impacts of these natural disasters. This quake not only caused a tsunami that destroyed communities, but also led to the Fukushima nuclear disaster, showing just how powerful subduction zone tremors can be and how much preparation is necessary to deal with them. Chris Goldfinger, a geologist from Oregon who experienced the Tohoku quake firsthand, recalled its overwhelming intensity. He noted that the 3-minute duration of the quake immediately indicated how severe it was. In subduction zones, tectonic plates release built-up energy suddenly, creating widespread and forceful movement. When this happens beneath the ocean, it displaces a massive amount of water, generating tsunamis that can travel great distances and turn into towering waves as they approach land, wreaking havoc on coastal communities. Japan prioritizes earthquake readiness, implementing strict building codes and preparedness systems to mitigate structural damage. These measures, along with advancements in architecture that account for seismic activity, meant that most buildings stood firm during the Tohoku quake. However, the tsunami that followed was much larger than expected. It overwhelmed coastal defenses, flooding towns and critical infrastructure. The massive wave crashed through protective seawalls and barriers, causing significant damage to communities and farmland. One of the worst effects was the crisis at the Fukushima nuclear power plant. As the tsunami swept over the defenses, it flooded the facility, disabling crucial cooling systems and causing a meltdown. This led to widespread radiation leaks and the evacuation of thousands of residents. The Fukushima disaster demonstrated the complexity of preparing for such massive natural events, showing that even the most advanced protective measures can fail in the face of unexpected forces. It also stressed the need for planning not only for primary hazards like earthquakes, but also for secondary effects like tsunamis, which can disrupt critical infrastructure. On the other side of the Pacific, the U.S. West Coast faces similar threats from the Cascadia Subduction Zone, which stretches from Northern California to British Columbia. This area is at risk of seismic events comparable to those in Japan due to the converging tectonic plates capable of producing large earthquakes. Unfortunately, U.S. coastal defenses are not nearly as robust. Building codes vary widely, and crucial infrastructure along the coast remains vulnerable to seismic activity. While there are some efforts toward preparedness, such as early warning systems and evacuation routes, the West Coast lacks the extensive protective measures that Japan has in place, leaving communities at risk of potential disasters. Geologists like Goldfinger have emphasized the urgent need for improved readiness along the Cascadia Fault. The prospect of a high-magnitude earthquake resulting in a tsunami on the scale of the Tohoku event is particularly alarming, given the high population densities, limited evacuation options, and many unreinforced structures. Unlike Japan, where comprehensive readiness is part of policy and infrastructure, the U.S. has made only modest strides in addressing these vulnerabilities. Small coastal communities especially struggle with the resources needed for large-scale protective projects like seawalls, which could provide some level of safety against a tsunami. The experience of Japan during the Tohoku earthquake offers vital lessons for managing seismic risks in regions facing similar threats. The events of 2011 underscored that preparation must go beyond basic building codes and include a variety of defensive strategies. Continuous risk assessment, community education, and a focus on resilient infrastructure are essential. Protection measures need to account for both earthquakes and their associated effects, ensuring that critical infrastructure such as hospitals and power plants are safeguarded against secondary hazards. For the West Coast, adopting strategies informed by Japan's experience is crucial. Strengthening building regulations, expanding early warning systems, and enhancing community-level preparedness could significantly reduce risks in the event of a seismic event. Coastal cities should prioritize comprehensive disaster planning, including evacuation plans, access to real-time information, and improved infrastructure that can withstand both ground tremors and tsunami waves. The Tohoku earthquake serves as a powerful reminder of nature's unpredictability. As scientists continue to refine early warning systems and study tectonic movements, it's vital for coastal areas to take proactive measures to confront the realities of seismic risks. Japan's experience highlights the necessity of robust preparation to ensure that when faced with similar events, regions are ready to respond effectively, protecting lives and minimizing damage. What would happen if a massive earthquake struck the Pacific Northwest, unleashing a tsunami that overwhelms our already vulnerable infrastructure? Are our bridges, roads, and emergency services equipped to withstand such a catastrophic event? Or are we flirting with disaster? Oregon and Washington's vulnerable infrastructure. Geological studies show that this area has experienced 43 major earthquakes in the last 10,000 years, with a big quake happening roughly every 250 years. The last major quake occurred in 1700, so it's fair to say that this region is overdue for another one. As tectonic pressure builds up, it will eventually need to be released. And when that happens, we could experience shaking that lasts up to 5 minutes. The aftermath of such an earthquake could be devastating, especially with the potential tsunami that could follow. Cities like Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, are not prepared for a disaster of this scale. One major issue is that emergency response plans in these cities have not been adequately developed or tested for an earthquake of this magnitude. This situation puts residents and essential services in danger. Many emergency response teams lack the resources and training to effectively manage a large-scale disaster. If a significant quake were to strike, the chaos could overwhelm these teams, complicating rescue operations and delaying help for those in need. Additionally, fuel storage facilities, which are often situated in areas prone to seismic activity, add another layer of risk. Relying on centralized fuel sources means that any disruption could lead to fires and hazardous spills, posing threats to both safety and the environment. If contaminants spread from damaged sites into nearby communities, it could worsen the disaster and slow down response efforts. Older buildings that haven't been updated are particularly susceptible to damage. Hospitals, schools, and homes could face severe impacts, potentially leading to widespread injuries and fatalities in crowded areas. The Cascadia Fault also has the potential for major tsunami events, creating a dual threat for coastal communities. Evacuation routes could be compromised, complicating rescue efforts and making it harder to save lives. While the need for infrastructure upgrades is clear, financial limitations have slowed down significant reform. The challenge is to not only tackle the immediate seismic risks, but also consider the broader impact of natural disasters on daily life. With limited funding for upgrades and maintenance, these cities remain at risk. As climate change continues to increase the frequency of extreme weather events, the need for resilient infrastructure becomes even more urgent. We have to prioritize disaster preparedness, which means investing in retrofitting existing buildings and critical infrastructure. This requires a comprehensive approach that focuses on community engagement, education, and accountability from our government to ensure emergency plans are ready. Adopting resilient design practices can help minimize vulnerabilities and create systems that can better withstand seismic activity. It's also vital to establish local emergency plans that take into account the potential fallout from a Cascadia earthquake, ensuring both residents and government agencies are prepared. Increased funding for seismic research, preparedness drills, and community awareness campaigns is essential. We also need to promote cooperation among federal, state, and local authorities to create a unified response strategy that prepares for the inevitable. This teamwork can boost resilience and help develop recovery plans that effectively tackle the challenges of disaster management. Ultimately, taking proactive steps to protect our infrastructure and communities can help lessen the severe impacts of a future earthquake along the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Can your home truly withstand the wrath of nature? As seismic threats loom larger than ever, the question isn't just about survival, it's about resilience. What steps can you take right now to transform your living space into a fortress against earthquakes and tsunamis? From fortified foundations to emergency plans, how will you ensure that your home is not just a shelter, but a stronghold in the face of disaster? Preparation for the big one at home. With the threats posed by the Cascadia Subduction Zone looming large, improving earthquake preparedness has become an urgent priority for communities in the Pacific Northwest. Cities like Portland and Seattle are taking important steps to boost their resilience in preparation for what many expect as the big one. This proactive approach has led to a thorough review of building codes, resulting in necessary updates to ensure that new constructions can withstand the strong forces of an earthquake. This effort not only aims to strengthen buildings against potential quakes, but also addresses weaknesses that past earthquakes have revealed, such as the serious destruction caused by Japan's Tohoku earthquake. Local governments aren't stopping at just updating codes. They're also working hard to improve important infrastructure. This means making bridges and public buildings stronger so they can stand up to seismic activity. By doing this, we're not just protecting our buildings, but also our lives and the essential services we rely on every day. The goal is to create a solid structure for our cities that can survive any earthquake that comes our way. However, it's not only about big buildings and policies. Community resilience efforts are becoming a major focus. It's essential to encourage residents to take charge of their own safety and the safety of their families. Educational campaigns are playing a key role in this, stressing the importance of personal emergency planning and family preparedness. People are encouraged to put together detailed emergency kits filled with necessary supplies. These kits should include things like non-perishable food, clean water, flashlights, batteries, and first aid items to help sustain families after a disaster. Another critical step is securing furniture and heavy objects at home to minimize the chance of injury during strong shaking. It's all about creating a safe environment where families can feel secure. Engaging with neighbors is also very important. When community members are connected and informed, everyone benefits. Local organizations are promoting training programs in first aid and emergency response. This empowers citizens with the skills they need to help others during crises. Imagine a community where neighbors know not only the risks, but also how to respond effectively when an earthquake happens. Additionally, mapping out evacuation routes and creating community emergency plans are essential parts of our overall preparedness strategy. Having a clear plan means everyone knows what to do when the ground starts to shake. By working together, we can improve our community's ability to respond well after an earthquake. Building strong networks and relationships within neighborhoods can greatly enhance our resilience. When people understand their own responsibilities, they are also more likely to help others in their community. Public workshops and informational sessions can play a big role in creating a culture of preparedness. These events can spark important conversations about safety practices and encourage proactive behavior. Community exercises like earthquake drills help residents become familiar with safety protocols so they feel more confident during a real event. Local governments see the value in investing in community preparedness initiatives. They know that these efforts can save lives and reduce damage when disasters occur. Enhanced outreach campaigns are also vital for raising awareness about the specific risk posed by the Cascadia Subduction Zone. They inform people about practical steps to protect themselves and their families. Moreover, building partnerships with local businesses can help encourage a culture of preparedness. Businesses can support their employees and customers in disaster planning by offering resources like emergency kits or training programs. This teamwork not only helps individuals, but also strengthens the entire community. The focus on personal and community preparedness marks a significant cultural change, emphasizing how important it is to be ready for natural disasters. While the threat from the Cascadia Subduction Zone is serious, the combined efforts of individuals, neighborhoods, and local governments can greatly improve our ability to withstand a significant earthquake. By taking proactive steps, maintaining clear communication, and committing to ongoing preparedness, we can make sure our communities are ready and resilient when the big one strikes. As we face the potential challenges of earthquakes in Oregon and Washington, it's clear that community action is key. What do you think these cities should prioritize for safety? Share your thoughts in the comments. If this discussion sparked your interest, give us a thumbs up and let's keep the conversation alive. Together we can pave the way for a safer future.